Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jerso and today we are back with another recent reads video. I'm going to be talking about the 6 books that I've read in the months of April and May. A lot of these books I did get from my library or I listened to on audio, so I'll just pop the picture right here as usual. But without any further ado, let's get started. So the first book I was able to read in April was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I had seen this book so many places, so many rave reviews for so long, and I just never thought that it was the book for me. But like, something told me to pick it up in April, and I'm so glad that I did. In Part of Your World, we are following Alexis, who is a ER doctor that works in like a big city, and we're also following Daniel, who is a small town mayor guy, and he's 10 years younger than Alexis. Somehow fate would have it that they would meet one day, and they kind of spark up a little friends with benefits relationship that instantly gets a lot more complicated based on Alexis's family and life, and just some complicated issues on both of their parts, mostly Alexis though. And let me tell you, Alexis's life is messy. Not only is she an ER doctor at this hospital, she is dealing with an ex-boyfriend who is abusive, and also some family drama as well. The hospital she works at, her family has been very prestigious there. They've all worked there, served on boards for years, and her dad is pretty upset that she's an ER doctor instead of being chief of surgery. And so she's dealing with abuse from her parents, specifically her dad's side as well. And her ex-boyfriend had cheated, and he's just refusing to let that relationship go, and it was a mess. Daniel was a sweetheart with his own complications, but I mean, really it was Alexis that was moving this train. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, yeah, it was a mess, but I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed the romance. I enjoyed the chemistry between Alexis and Daniel. I also loved how Abby Jimenez balanced like romance with the hard-hitting topics of like abuse and family drama and all that stuff, and I thought it was done very well. I enjoyed the ending. I did wish just a little bit that, like, I felt that Daniel deserved more of an apology for how Alexis treated him when everything went down with the third act breakup and, you know, all the things. But I mean, I kind of understood where she was coming from. It was hard decisions to make, but I feel like some more groveling needed to happen on Alexis's part. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. I do 100% recommend, even if you feel like it's not 100% going to be for you. I think that it is a fantastic romance and you should at least give it a try, and I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. The next book that I ended up reading was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is Elsie Silver's new series. I loved everything about the Chestnuts spring series, and I was super excited about this one. I think it's going to be a series following billionaire single dad. So in this one we're following Ford, who is Willa's brother, and he is a billionaire obviously, and one day he's working to start his own record company and bring that business up from the ground. And one day he opens his door and a girl is there claiming to be his daughter because he donated sperm like when he was in college, and this girl has found him because she's having some troubles at home. So she shows up and says she's his daughter, and he takes her in. And we're also following, I think her name is Rosie, who is Ford's best friend's sister, and she has some work drama going on, so she leaves the city and moves back into the small town where Ford's at, and she needs a job, so she starts working with Ford. Rosie and Ford have a very frenemies relationship when they were younger. They always used to make fun of each other. So when Rosie shows up and needs a job, Ford offers it to her, and then they start some sort of relationship. I was really disappointed in this book. It really let me down. I didn't feel no connection between Ford and Rosie at all, and I really didn't care about their relationship. There was this whole aspect of Ford not wanting to be in a relationship with Rosie because that's his best friend's sister, but you could not convince me that his best friend would care, and he really did not. So I just didn't feel like that needed to be an aspect at all. Also, the third act breakup, to me, there was no basis. I didn't understand where it was coming from. It felt like it was just kind of thrown in there and just made a bigger deal than it essentially was to me. Like, I didn't understand it. So this one kind of fell flat for me. I didn't really like it. The whole single dad aspect, I wasn't expecting how Ford would become a single dad, but I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I wasn't convinced. The relationship didn't convince me. The chemistry wasn't there, and the smell was terrible. So this was a big disappointment, and I give it like 2.5 stars. The next book I ended up reading was Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. This is like a murder mystery where we're following a guy named Ernest Cunningham and his entire family, and basically the premise is like everybody in his family has killed someone, including himself, and they get together for a like family reunion on like a ski resort, and someone ends up dead, and we're trying to figure out who in their family might have killed this person, or who wants people in his family dead, essentially. I listened to this on audio, and it was a really great audio listening experience, but I don't know what it is about whodunit mysteries, or mysteries in general. I don't know if they're for me. After reading this and with The Tainted Cup, I don't know if I can try another mystery again. I enjoyed it for what it was, but once again, I felt like it was just prolonged. And I didn't really vibe with the sense of humor. And it was one of those books where it's like, if you don't really like the sense of humor, the book can really go downhill for you pretty quickly. And the sense of humor was okay, but it wasn't my cup of tea. And also the payoff of this mystery, it was just very unsatisfying for me. It was really unsatisfying. The twist, I couldn't get behind it. And like, I enjoyed it, but was it a new favorite? No. So I ended up giving this one, I think, 3 stars. It was pretty middle of the road. It was fine. It was fun. If you are planning on reading it, I highly recommend the audiobook because that was a great listening experience, in my opinion. Next, I read 5 Broken Blades by Mia Mai Corland. This one had such a fun premise. We're following 5 of the most dangerous criminals in this world of Yusan, and they are tasked with killing the king. And this is a dangerous task because the king is rumored to have a crown that allows him to not be killed. So they all get together and try to formulate a plan to kill this king, but there are some complications with their plan, as well as them not really trusting each other, because they don't really have relationship with each other. They just kind of form this group, if you will. So each of these characters have something to lose, something to gain with killing the king, and they all don't really trust each other because they don't really know about the other people and if they should trust them or not, and thinking about, you know, what do they have to gain or what do they have to lose for killing the king. And I thought this was really enjoyable. We're following all 5 of these characters, and so sometimes the voices were a little hard to distinguish between the chapters, but once you got a hang of it, it became easier as you continued reading. I enjoyed reading from a lot of their point of views. And one thing I actually wasn't expecting was this to be not romance heavy, but to have romance in it. A lot of these characters start forming romantic relationships, and a lot of them were, I would say, a bit insta-lovey. I didn't really see the basis of their relationship and how they formed them, but honestly, like, looking past all that, I really did enjoy the plot and the scheming and everything like that, and I thought it was like a good fun time, and I gave it 3.75 stars. Next, I read The Art of a Scandal by Regina Black, and y'all, this was a mess from the very beginning. So we're following Rachel, who is married to the rising mayor star, I think his name is Matt, and one night she receives an explicit picture from Matt, but upon further investigation she realizes that it wasn't meant for her. So that kind of opens up that Matt has been having an affair for like months now in their marriage, and she is just done. She wants to leave, she wants out, but Matt is facing an election year, so it's a re-election year, and he's like, okay, how about I'll give you $1 million if you stay with me during this re-election, and then afterwards we can get a divorce, you can do what you want to do, whatever. So Rachel stays, but she doesn't plan on falling in love with an aspiring artist, Nathan Vasquez. And they live in like this rich, pompous town neighborhood where everybody wants to know about everybody's scandal, everybody's drama. So Rachel and Nathan have to keep their affair under wraps in order for Rachel to get her $1 million payout. But there's so many things complicating this relationship, so many family relationships that just impact the story so much. Matt, I have never wanted to drop kick a person in the throat so bad, and everyone around Matt, like, he was such a despicable character, and it just, the entire book was a mess. It was a mess, but I loved it, and I ended up giving that 3.5 or 3.75 stars. And the last book that I ended up reading for the past 2 months, I think this one was in May. The last book of May was Children of Fallen Gods by Carissa Broadbent. This is book 2 of the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. I read book 1 in the first quarter of the year, and I really wanted to continue on with the series, and I did. So I'm getting events from book 2 and 3 mixed up a little bit because I just finished the 3rd and final book, but that'll be in the next wrap up. But in this installation, we are picking up directly from the events of book 1. So if you don't know what this series is about, we are following Tasana, who is a slave that tries to buy her freedom but ends up killing her slaver essentially and running away to join the Orders, which is an organization for magic wielders. And once she joins the Orders, she has a enlightening realization of just exactly what the orders are, and she thought that they were going to be her saving grace, but they might end up being her downfall. So after the events of book 1 and how that ended, I was very curious about how book 2 would go, if there would be a time jump or anything like that. And we just picked up exactly from where we left off in book 1. I felt like this book kind of suffered from second book syndrome for me. It felt like things were happening but not happening at the same time. Wasn't until after like 50% that things really started moving in the direction of where book 3 would pick up on the plot. We do get introduced to a new point of view in this one that was really enlightening and kind of bridged the gap between the magic system of the wielders and the fae. And I really was not expecting fae to show up in this book, or in this series in general, so that was a welcome surprise. I love fae, but yeah, so we get a point of view that kind of bridges the gap between the wielders and the fae world and just how their worlds intertwine. I loved the development of Tisana and Max's relationship. I felt like in book 1 I wasn't really convinced that they liked each other, but more and more so in book 2 I started to fall in love with both of their relationship and each of these individual characters. But I did feel like Tisana's self-sacrificing nature was a bit too much. It's a bit too much in book 2. Spoiler alert, it's a lot to handle in book 3, but I get where she's coming from. It was just a lot for me. But yes, I love the progression of the book. I felt like the second half was very strong in opening the world. I love the included POVs, and you just get so frustrated with two characters in particular, and you just want them gone. But I binged this, I enjoyed it, and I obviously continued on with book 3, so that will be in another wrap up, like I said. But I did really enjoy this and ended up giving it a 3.75 stars out of. So those are the books that I've read in the months of April and May. Do let me know if you've read any of these books down in the comments, or tell me which of your books that you read in the past 2 months are your favorite or your least favorite down in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys with another video soon. Bye, friends.